Now let's talk about the dog's voice, eyes, and touch. Vocal, we hear a lot in here. And a lot of times you guys wear the ear muffs, particularly when you're cleaning, rightfully so. But it is there. You don't want to lose that sound, so when you're interacting, you might be opening it up just to make sure you can hear what noise might be there. One noise, silence, is deadly. Silence does not guarantee your safety. It doesn't guarantee that the dog is happy. Guttural, growls, snarling, and y'all seen this one, blowing of the cheeks? Warning. Okay, guttural growls and snarling, you know, the old Elvis lip lift and all of that. Okay, that can all be obviously a little aggressive, but this blowing of the cheeks, he might really need it. So be very, very aware of that. I'm sure we've all saw that with one of the white dogs back there in the corner. Okay. A different sound, high pitch. High pitch is high anxiety. So when you hear that higher pitch bark, and it's like shrilling, that dog's in a pretty high state of anxiety, and that can be nothing less or more than just being in a shelter. But your contact, your approach may also be causing that high anxiety, so be attentive to where that's occurring. Okay, dogs do use their voices to communicate, but they do use their body language even more. Okay, so the voice is important, but it's not prime or primo importance. Okay, yipping. This is a sound you may or may not have heard. Yipping or quick barks is a high excitement, probably combined with a little bit of fear. So if you've approached the dog's cage and all of a sudden you hear this kind of, you know, it's like this yip sound, that dog is possibly really super stoked that you're coming and you're going to release them from their cage, okay? So that high yipping is different than a high pitch bark, which is just pure anxiety. High yipping is more high excitement, okay? All right, here's a big one. Pacifying behavior. Anyone know some pacifying behavior noises? What's that?
Chewing everything.
Well,
pacifying.
So pacifying to you, so trying to communicate to you that I'm not trying to be a threat, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to be in your face. Chomping. You heard this one? Yeah, it's not really licking, it's okay, so that can be like a pacifying. That's the dog going, I'm not sure where you're going, lady. I'm not sure what you're doing. Is everything okay? You're not mad at me, are you? The other thing you'll see is short little lip licking. Not truly a sound, but it does make a sound. You're really listening, right? And that's where you'll see truly short. It's like they're just barely poking out their tongue, kind of licking their lips. This is true pacifying. The dog is trying to relax, trying to calm you, trying to question what your motive might be. Really important one. Pacifying behaviors, really important. Okay, eyes. It's the guy staring at you. We know eye contact is generally confrontational. Y'all know that. But it's also acknowledgement. Now, depending on the dog, acknowledgement can be a good thing or a bad thing. A truly dominant dog, you staring at him. Really? A truly submissive dog, you staring at him. Oh, golly gee shucks, oh golly gee. Right? You might see that avoidance. So eye contact, deep stares, definitely your last warning. So when you notice that, exactly, you pull away. You pull away because it's just intimidating, for goodness sakes. What are you doing? All right. Hard, dark, dilated pupils. Super dangerous. Emotions are very high. It is one of the first things I look for when I'm going up to the cage of the dog. I want to see, does his eyes dilate? When his eyes dilate, it means emotions are high. It's dangerous because anyone whose emotions are flying through the roof are somewhat dangerous, because they're going to say something they don't mean, they're going to do something they didn't intend to, they might regret it down the road. So it doesn't mean he has to be a dangerous or a typically dangerous dog. It means when his emotions are that high, he's at risk of doing something dumb. Okay. Now, the opposite, more pacifying movements, soft eyes. And you can tell the difference in a dog who looks at you kind of deep and dark, trying to like look through you, versus a dog who just looks through you. Not a whole lot changed, but just the eye contact becomes that much softer. And again, you're not looking at everything else, you're just looking at the intensity behind the eye contact.
Are they glazed over or are they normal?
Exactly, and that's where the dilation comes from. And you'll see that it's a stillness, which we'll get to in body language, but there's a stillness that takes place in their eyes. They stop, there's no movement to it whatsoever. And that's really super important for you to remember, because the face is what sometimes you're first seeing. Okay. Blinking. Not, I blinked. Not I blinked. Blooper, right? Not that once, but intentionally. And it's almost like big, heavy eyelids. This is pacifying behavior. Again, the dog is trying to say to you, are you a threat? Are you mad at me? Is everything going to be okay? Oh, golly gee, you're opening up that cage again. Little lip licking, little eye blinking, possible paw raise, right? This is all pacifying. Even a head tilt, a little pacifying, okay? So he might be slightly intimidated and he might be threatened. He's still a risk, because all dogs are a risk. But he's trying to diffuse whatever he thinks is going wrong. And diffuse is one of my favorite words as well in the whole dog world. And that's because you do not need to aggravate, agitate. You don't need to create. I will say this once, I will say this 100 times. Every dog bite, every single one, is human error. We messed up. They're in our care, they're our responsibility, we messed up. Doesn't matter how rotten, stinking the dog really is, it's still our error. So that's why we try our best to read them well and prevent all of these issues. Okay, so a dog who's following your movement. This one's for you, big boy in the back. Dog who's following your movement. So you're just unaware, doing your thing. Meanwhile, the dog's sitting in his cage and he's watching you. Okay? He's reading you. We don't know what kind of dog he is right now. All we know is the dog is reading you. He's trying to figure out what you're doing. Depending on his personality, could depend on the outcome. Bottom line, if you are avoiding eye contact, you might be disengaged, just totally ignoring him. And he'll be sitting there going, how dare you ignore me? If he's a fearful-based dog and you're unaware, because you're just doing your thing, this dog's watching you. And all of a sudden, you avoid his eye contact, right? And he's a nervous dog, he's going to be like this. You're not acknowledging me. That's a good thing.
Okay, thanks.
All right. When the dog avoids your eye contact, it's two different meanings depending on where his head is. If his head is up, what does it mean? Anybody? He's avoiding your eye contact, his head's up. Anybody?
Sounds kind of dominant.
Truly. Displaying the neck is like, this is how much I'm afraid of you. Right there, there's my jugular, go for it. Okay? No one will forget that. Really? Go for it. Done this too many times with clients and I see them doing this. It's like, you don't really look like you genuinely mean this. This is not, I'm truly confident you're no threat to me. Arrogance, cockiness, That would mean it. Now, head down low, submissive. So a dog who's avoiding your eye contact and looking down is very different than a dog who's avoiding your eye contact and looking up. Okay? Big important point there on that. Every single action out there has multiple meanings. This is why people get so confused on understanding the rules. They say, oh, well, the dog's not looking at me, he's avoiding my eye contact, he's being submissive. Oh, no. Oh, no, that can be a purely dominant look, too. And I've had dogs fly at me because I knew they were dominant, and I said, all I'm going to do is slightly avoid eye contact with this dog. I'm just going to begin to turn my head, and I'm telling you, the second my head starts to move away from them, boom, dog's flying at me. Fortunately, the person on the other end waiting and prepared, hopefully. Yeah. Not always. Right? And sometimes you do it so naturally, you're not aware that your action just sent a major direct message to that animal, which is what puts you at risk for down the road. So this is where the importance of understanding your body language and his body language really come in.